unsung narrative. Young, dumb American, arrogant, throwing fits, ripping shit, tearing it, imperative. Then I'm killing this mic no matter where I live. These derelict rappers acting the fool, this embarrassing is flagrant. That's the nature of this entertainment, and we can't even change it. Guilty before arraignment, now the system tainted. But when we speak, they all laugh at us. And y'all wonder why I'm lacking trust. Try to fight a giant with attorneys that can back them up. That's church versus science, both sides start acting up. I'm late on my assignment, hopping up a mile high, climbing, obviously never silent. New alignment, I'm defiant, cannot describe it. Used to describe it as a young graffiti artist. Before the beard, I always got carded. Hit every bar, even though my bar's been the hardest. The scars on my face, and I ain't always been the smartest. But I'll show you where my heart is. I said I'll show you where my heart is. I can show you where my heart's at. See it on my sleeve. Even if the beat stops, my soul will not leave. If I never stood tall, nobody will ever see. I can show you where my heart's at. See it on my sleeve. I can show you where my heart's at. See it on my sleeve. Even if the beat stops, my soul will not leave. If I never stood tall, nobody will ever see. I can show you where my heart's at. See it on my sleeve. I can show you where my...
The type of guy that would ride with the breeze. I'm higher than most people. I'm cold and icicle freeze. I'm liking to Mike Tyson. I'm a bison, a beast. I'm hot like Jamaica, like right by the beach. My pops is from a spot where they're fighting for peace. 8 years old out there watching people fight in the streets. All these sirens only make the violence increase. Yeah, we're still not loving police. It's that bright young American, nice, dumb, arrogant, tight on a mic, but he might need a therapist. Heart full of kerosene, head full of fairy tales. Said that you're my homie, you don't know me, but I know you very well. Roll back on some West Coast shit. This whole track is wetter than your dress code kiss. About to hit the track, running on some retro fit. I guess so lit, I guess so bitch, now let's go.
I can show you where my heart's at. See it on my sleeve. Even if the beat stops, my soul will not leave. If I never stood tall, nobody will ever...
What is up, sports nonsense and whiskey? It's Tuesday, day after Christmas. Happy holidays to everyone. As you guys can see, I am solo tonight. So this is the night to get in your questions. Caleb's not here. He's not going to put out his crazy takes today. It's not here. It's just me. I'll absolutely talk crazy with all of you. First of all, though, hopefully everybody had a great Christmas. Holidays are tough. Holidays bring on a lot of stress, a lot of anxiety. So it's good that we get through them with as much, get through it without all the emotional stress that it puts on all of us. So let's see. Let's talk. Let's start out with, I do have to put a shout out. My boy, Pinky Jr. got me one of the best Christmas presents of the week. Little 291. If you guys are not from Colorado, you can't get this, I don't think. I don't think they sell it out of state yet. Wins a lot of awards. It's awesome. Really good whiskey. This one I think is a $60 bottle. They do have a double batch that's 100, but this is primo stuff. So my son came through in the clutch, and then he also got me some Pinkerton whiskey glasses and a decanter. I just haven't washed everything yet, so that's on me. But I did want to give him a shout out because he did a great job. Came through awesome in the clutch. Quick on the Avs and the Nuggets. We don't talk a lot about them yet during football season, but Caleb's not here, so I can talk about what I want. Avs are on a little bit of a streak. They've been playing some good hockey lately. I tell you, when McKinnon's in the zone right now. When Miko, the Moose, McKinnon, and Cale Makar are all out there healthy and doing their thing, they're a tough team. And when McKinnon's on fire like he is right now, they're tough to stop. So haven't got to watch as many Avs games, obviously, because of Kroenke. What a jerk. But, we do what we can. When they're on and I can watch them, I'll usually put them on, just like with the Nuggets. Nuggets are on a streak right now. I think they're 9 out of 11 wins. Just had a pretty good road trip where they got 3 wins. And they played Golden State yesterday. That was a fun, interesting game to see Joker not play well, not shoot relatively well, but go 18 for 18 from the free throw line. That's clutch. That's also like the most free throws that dude's ever shot. So for Steve Kerr to come out after the game, talk a little junk about like that was awful, was really bad officiating. I was like, Giannis, LeBron, Anthony Davis, like all these guys go to the line 20 times a game. Joker barely gets like 5 times a game. For him to get 9 was definitely an anomaly, but come on, let's stop bitching and whining about it, right? So go Nuggets, go Avs. It's almost time where we get really hardcore into it as football season starts to trickle down, which is always sad, but we'll definitely have some more Avs and Nuggets coverage here in the upcoming weeks. I'm trying to think if there's anything else out there in the sports world to talk about. I guess one thing from basketball, from the NBA, Ja Morant came back after his 25-game suspension, was named Player of the Week. Had a great week. I think they won all 3 games since he's been back. He can be a very talented basketball player when he's playing. It's just worried about his off the court antics as well as the company that he keeps. So hopefully he stays out of trouble, because we want the stars of basketball to be out there on the court, and he's a star. I don't think he's on the upper echelon level. I think he's right there knocking on that top 10 when he's healthy and playing great. But, hopefully things work out for him, because, Memphis is a better team when he's playing. They're not great to begin with, and it's Memphis. They need something to cheer for. All right, let's talk some NFL. We'll break into it early. Like I said, this could be a quick podcast. You guys want to comment, you want to ask some questions, I'm all for it. I'm just going to go with my thoughts, since I don't have Caleb to ask questions of, or he just starts talking, right? That's what Caleb does. We love him for it, too. He's out with family, checking out the Cripple Creek Ice Castle. So anybody in Colorado, check it out. It looks awesome. I got to make sure I get tickets to that sometime soon. All right. First of all, the NFL taking over like the weekend was pretty awesome. Games Saturday, Sunday, Monday. Awesome. And I really like the games on Saturday and Monday, just based on there was no competition. There was no other games going on. So you could literally focus in on the one game that was playing. So I really enjoy that. When there's 10 games going, I'll watch Red Zone, because I want to be able to make sure I can see everything important from all the games. You can't do that if you're just watching one game. But when it's one game, you can kind of focus on it. You can kind of see the defense. You can see what the coach is doing, how they're calling things, their game plan. And then you get a better idea. Was they have a good game plan, or was it pretty shitty? If you're watching Red Zone, you don't get that. You don't get to see all the intricacies of the game as a whole. You're just getting, those quick moments where they're down in the red zone, field goal range, no other teams scoring, so we're going to just cut to this game, whatever that case may be. So I did enjoy it that we had just those teams, one game at a time. So I thought that was a big Pistons just dropped their 27th straight game. There is a bet out there that you can actually bet on them not to win another game this season. That's an interesting bet. That's risky. I feel like there's just that game, like everything falls. So I don't know if I would take that, but 27 straight for them. All right. I think we got to talk about the Lions. I think that's where we got to start. And the Lions played Minnesota. Minnesota played them tough. It was a good game. Unfortunately for Minnesota, Jordan Addison got hurt. Hawkinson tore an ACL and MCL in the game. So they were down a couple of their weapons. They really only had Justin Jefferson, and they still made it interesting. So kudos to them. Kevin O'Connell is a pretty damn good coach. I like him a lot. So I think the Vikings are in a good space moving forward. If they get good quarterback play, they've got some decisions to make. But the Lions, when Jared Goff is protected, those guys can do anything. With Laporta, Sun God, David Montgomery, Jahmyr Gibbs, and now Jameson Williams starting to get it going, starting to show up more and more. And then you just kind of sprinkle in some Josh Reynolds and Khalif Raymond. They're like fourth or fifth guy. They got something. They really do. I think that offense can play with anybody on any given Sunday. But they've got to protect Jared Goff, keep him up. Once he gets pressured, he kind of folds. So defense is playing tough. But the Lions winning that game, winning their division, first time since 93. That's 30 years. I was 13 years old the last time they won the division, and I'm pretty old. So I watched them win that division 30 years ago with Barry Sanders. So, and I think Scott Mitchell? No. I know Herman Moore was on that team. I know that for sure. Kudos to the Lions. They deserve it. The last 2 years with I think Dan Campbell's only been there 2 years, maybe 3 years. I think he's 3 years. He's been there 3 years. They've built the team the right way. Drafted O-linemen, drafted defensive linemen, built it inside out, right? That's what you got to do. Inside out. That's the way to build a team. So I do think they're one of the teams. It's all going to be about matchups. I do think they'll struggle against the 49ers. I feel like they're going to struggle against the Eagles defense because I think their interior pressure can get to the Lions. But Lions won this weekend. They did their thing, and they won their division. And now anything's possible, man. I know that one seed's not locked up yet since the 49ers lost this weekend. So the Lions could still make a play for that one seed maybe. And that would be interesting to see the Lions get the bye and then host a game and possibly a second game at that point in Ford Field. Lions fans, be excited. Don't get too crazy, but be excited. Your team is good and only getting better. I think Dan Campbell really controls that locker room. I think they've got a good game plan. They like to be the bully. They like to beat you up. They don't forget to run the football. And that could be Ben Johnson. Is it Ben? I think it's Ben. It's definitely a B. Ben or Brian. I think it's Ben. I think Brian is on the Eagles. Ben Johnson is just calling really good game plans. As long as Jared Goff's protected and he can get the ball to his weapons, they are playing really well. That OC is definitely getting a head coaching job somewhere. Someone's going to pay him a lot of money. So go Lions. Congrats. Got that division. Now it's all about what you do in the playoffs. All right, this is kind of what I call my nice list. I'm just kind of going down the list of who did what they needed to do. Let's talk. I think the Rams were on Thursday night, so they were actually the first game of the week this last week. They played the Rams. Derek Carr, there's just something off in that offense for him. He's just off. But the Rams offense looks scary, man. They didn't even run the ball they ran it pretty well against the Saints, but they didn't run it like amazing like they have on other teams. If that run game's going, and then you've got Stafford just being able to throw it to Puka. That's a great name, Puka Nacua. Puka's having a freaking crazy rookie year. But him and Cooper Kupp are like the same guy. They're just, kind of, slender wide receivers. They run routes really well. They hit that open space, and Stafford just drops it in. They're dangerous. And the defense, bunch of no names besides Aaron Donald. They're still playing well. Raheem Morris has got that unit really ratcheted up. So look out for the Rams. I feel pretty good they're going to get in. I feel pretty good that they're going to get in. I think they're in the top 7 right now. They're going to be tough. They're a tough out. And when you have an offensive team like that, I don't know if I want to play those guys. I don't know. So pretty excited about the Rams. I got really nervous because Puka had a really good game against me in fantasy. Still pulled out the win, but it was he made me sweat, that's for sure. Let's see who else did their thing. Dolphins, they handled business. They beat a good team. I would absolutely say the Cowboys are a good team. They're not as good on the road as they are at home. They're not as good out of division as they are in division. But those guys, Cowboys are a good team. And the Dolphins played physical, and they ran the football, and they got just enough from Tyreek Hill. Waddle kept going in and out. He was hurt. He was banged up. Didn't Micah Parsons, they definitely had the game plan to kind of keep him out of, they didn't run right at him. They definitely protected and tried to get a chip on him, tried to make sure Tua had time to throw. Close game at the end, but they pulled out that close one. They're definitely playoff bound. I think they're probably going to win that division since the Bills are still like 1 or 2 games behind. But Dolphins do have an upcoming game with the Ravens. That might be this week. We'll run down those games here to finish up the show. The Ravens last night put a whooping on the 49ers. Put a whooping on them. They scored on 7 straight drives. Now, half of those were on the 49ers side of the field based on turnovers, which were really ugly. Excuse me. 2 of those turnovers were receivers popping the ball up. I think one was like a ball that got batted up in the air from the line of scrimmage. Sometimes you can't avoid that. But the Ravens took it to them. They took it to them. And sometimes, as a team, you come in riding that wave, feeling yourself. 49ers had won some big games recently. They've played really well recently. I think they got their asses handed to them, kind of smacked around. Ravens were able to handle business. And now we're talking about the Ravens as the number 1 team. And that's really kudos to them. Lamar looked great. Lamar, the last couple weeks, I've not always been a big Lamar fan. Most of the folks who have watched this long enough know that I give him some credit, but he's learned a little bit more how to stay in the pocket, go through his reads, and I do see him creating that connection with Odell, Bateman, and Zay Flowers. And Zay Flowers is a rising star. That guy's got it. Just get the ball in his hands. Guy's got it. When you see it, you just like you see him, and you're like that kid can play. And he's one of the rising stars in the league. They run the ball. That's the only downfall of the Ravens. I don't think their running game's as good as it could be. Would have liked to have seen them make a play for Derrick Henry, Saquon. I think they could have got Eckler from the Chargers. A play for another running back. Well, maybe not Eckler. They probably don't need a guy like Eckler. They need more of a bigger guy. Like Leonard Fournette, I think would have been a great pickup for them. They have that extra big body who can run, just grind, right? That's what the Ravens need to do. Grind it, run Lamar, play action, deep passes, stuff like that. Kudos to the Ravens handling business. They're still in the driver's seat for the 1 seed. And I believe It is going to come down to their game with the Dolphins, which I believe is this weekend, just because usually the last week is division games. So that's a big game for both squads, both fighting for that 1 seed. Thankfully, we know that the 1 seed will not run through Kansas City this year. That's a big deal. That's a big deal. All right, so Ravens get some love. Lamar, probably MVP, as long as he doesn't have, I'll be honest, Christian McCaffrey's the MVP. It's a quarterback award. I don't know why we just don't call it best quarterback of the year instead of MVP, because I think there are seasons where somebody else should have won it. Years ago, J.J. Watt has like 5 touchdowns, 3 offensive, 2 defensive, 20 sacks. Like, he had an insane season. Didn't get, I think he was second in MVP voting, so at least he got mentioned, but he didn't get it. When, Cooper Kupp, when he almost breaks the wide receiver record, he had the Triple Crown. I think he got 3rd in the MVP voting, right? I think he lost out to Aaron Rodgers. He was the MVP. A quarterback throws 335, 4,000 yards, 30 touchdowns. Big whoop. He throws for 5,050 touchdowns like Mahomes did a couple years ago. That's MVP worthy. But when another skill position or defensive player does stuff that's really above the rest, so that's when, hey, that MVP. McCaffrey is the MVP. If Tyreek hadn't been hurt a little bit, kind of slowed down this second half of the season, if Tyreek got 2,000 yards, I'd put Tyreek at MVP. I don't even like the guy, and I'd put him at MVP, because it's not about whether I like you or not. It's about, were you the best player? And I think there's definitely an argument to be made that Christian McCaffrey is the MVP. Looking at Lamar's numbers, I think he's at 19 passing touchdowns. I think he's got 6, 7 rushing touchdowns. Like, awesome. He's putting up good numbers. But what Christian McCaffrey's doing, I think he's got 1,500 yards rushing, 400 or 500 yards receiving, and he's got over 20 touchdowns. Come on, guys. CMC's the MVP. Let's see. What I got to pull up my list. Oh, as I go down my nice list, before I go down the naughty list, we got to talk about the Browns and the corpse that was Joe Flacco, just reanimating himself and turning into playoff Flacco. Like, that last time he played for the Broncos, and then he played for the Jets, I believe, he looked like a shell of himself. He was awful. Awful. The fact that he looks like playoff Flacco right now with the Browns, Chubb's out. I believe their left tackle's out. He is throwing to Amari Cooper. But after Amari Cooper, do they really have anything great? Not really. Not really. Imagine what they'd be doing right now with Chubb. Can you believe that? With Chubb, they'd be crushing. Browns defense is legit. Number 1 defense in the league. They will take it to you. They kind of took their foot off the gas, let the Texans back into that game a little bit. But overall, they crushed them. Brownies, not going to win the division because of the Ravens, but they're in the playoffs. They're going to get one more win, and they're in, and that's what they need to do. One more win, and they're playing the Jets on Thursday night. I believe they will get that win on Thursday night, and then they're in the playoffs. First time since 1953 that both the Lions and the Browns have more than 10 wins. That's not happened for over 70 years. That's crazy. That is crazy. My son's a big Browns fan, so of course we're rooting Browns. Broncos kind of suck right now, so I don't mind rooting for the Browns. I don't mind showing my son's team some love. if they could make it to the Super Bowl, I would root for the Brownies. So cheers to the Browns. And they're right about to make the playoffs. Thursday night, they'll punch their ticket. All right. This is going quick. Let's talk about the naughty list a little bit. And I feel like there's a lot of teams we could put on the naughty list. But I think we got to start with the 49ers. Going in height, you got Monday night Christmas game. You got the last game of the weekend. All eyes are on you. And you just can't. And it was so funny. They were running the football pretty damn good. Against the Ravens. And they just, every time they tried to throw the pass, something bad would happen. 4 picks from Purdy, 1 from Darnold. 1 from Darnold was fourth quarter. They were already kind of out of it. But, they were bad. Those were bad. Shanahan, it's a couple of those balls were batted balls, so it's hard to be like, oh, if they're not batted, do they get to the receiver? If the receiver doesn't knock the ball up for the interception, does the drive continue? We have that play that was kind of feel like the ball got ripped out of the guy's hands before he hit the ground. After the interception, Trent Williams got the ball out. I feel like that should have been a change of possession. Obviously, I don't know anything about that because we had a similar play in the Broncos, that game that went against us completely. So what do I know about that? But 49ers, I'm not down on them. A lot of people are throwing dirt on them right now. Still a really damn good team. They're a really good team. And they don't turn the ball over 5 times. That game closer? Are they winning that game? I think there's a good argument that says they are. So, and maybe this is the butt whooping they need to refocus before the playoffs. They should have been focused. They should have been ready, but they were a little out of it. And the defense definitely couldn't stop. They couldn't pressure Lamar, or they couldn't cover those wide receivers. So they're going to need a better game plan the next matchup if they have one. Cowboys. I'm not super down on the Cowboys like some folks. I saw a lot of folks that Cowboys fans were getting a little crazy. The Cowboys have been doing pretty good. Dolphins played physical, which Dolphins are kind of a finesse team too, but they played physical on defense, kind of made the Cowboys not as on time as they have been in the last couple of weeks. Took it to them. I still don't think the Cowboys running game is going to be where it needs to be in the playoffs. Tony Pollard and Rico Dowdle, I'm not sure how to say it. I don't think those are the guys that you need come playoff time. When you can run the football and dictate against these really good teams you're going to see every week in the playoffs, I think it really helps. I just don't see that from them. I just don't. And I think that if they had a little bit more of a steady running game against the Dolphins, I think that would have helped a lot. Dak played okay. I don't think Dak played bad. They were all kind of off. They were in Miami, on the road. They definitely played better in Dallas. So I'm not going to throw dirt on them and say they're dead, but it's another one of those, they haven't beat a good team yet. Now they get another chance this weekend because they're playing Detroit this weekend. So that's another time for them to kind of, get back on the nice list and kind of start rolling into the playoffs. But this one was a little worrisome on this game against the Dolphins. Chiefs are on the naughty list. God, what a mess. What a mess. Travis Kelce, I feel like all the attention, all of the commercials, all of the And I don't know about if he's spending a lot more time outside of football with Taylor, traveling to see her traveling to see him, them spending moments, him on the phone late at night with her, whatever that is, something has changed because he does not, the last 6 to 7 weeks, has not looked like the dominant tight end that we've gotten used to. Now, I know teams have been more willing to double team him on a regular basis and saying nobody else can catch the football. If they can catch it, good for them, but they can't. I think that strategy's been working, but I also feel like his head's not quite in the game. He got really frustrated through his helmet. He had to get talked to by Andy Reid. Just things aren't looking quite right for the Chiefs right now on offense. If their defense wasn't so damn good, they probably would have gotten blown out in this game. But their defense held them in. The Raiders quarterback literally after the first quarter, I think went 0 for 10. 0 for 10, didn't complete a pass, and yet the Raiders still won the goddamn game. How's that happen? How's that happen? That shouldn't have happened. I mean, technically, Chiefs defense only gave up 6 points. Chiefs offense gave up 14 in 7 seconds. And I only watched a little bit of this game because I was actually watching the Nuggets game since the Nuggets were on. I was watching that. I just would flip back and forth. And whenever the Chiefs offense was on the field, I like Mahomes starting to yell at guys. He needs to. He needs to hold his team accountable. Life's been easy. When he had Juju and Kelsey last year, both guys catching the ball, everything was working. Previous years with Tyreek Hill and Kelsey and MVS to Marcus Robinson. They kind of missed the Marcus Robinson. Funny to say that. But they just don't have a consistent guy that catches the ball for 5 yards, 10 yards. A guy you can trust on 3rd and 7, right? Besides Kelsey. I kind of feel bad for Mahomes because he's dealing with some stuff that he's not had to deal with before. I also see him whining and complaining a lot. And I know football's been so easy for you, and now it's kind of hard. You got to buck up, man. Got to buck up. He kind of looks like a crybaby. And he's better than that. He really is. He seems like a good dude. I mean, he sounds like Kermit, but other than that, he seems like a good dude. His commercials are pretty fun. I feel like he's a good guy overall. I don't like him. It's kind of a bad look. I don't like him out there whining, complaining. It's just bad. So, Chiefs need to get it together. I do start to wonder more and more, and I see some of the media putting it out there. Eric Bieniemy, are they missing Eric Bieniemy? Is that really hurting them? Maybe it is. Maybe Eric Bieniemy yelling and berating people is who, got certain guys to play better than they are. And right now they don't have a guy that's doing that. And Mahomes is starting to have to try to do that, and I don't think he can. They're on the naughty list. They play the Bengals this weekend. I don't think that's an easy game anymore for them. Jake Browning can play. The Bengals defense can play. I think the Bengals defense is better than the Raiders defense. So it's not an easy game like I thought it was a couple weeks ago. And then they finish out with the Chargers. Yeah, because we finished with the Raiders. So can they beat the Chargers? Yeah. Can they beat the Chargers? If the Chargers have nothing to play for but pride? Probably. But Chargers did take it to the Bills. Bills had to give everything they had to win that game. So anything's possible. Oh, God. Caleb's not here. So I'll try not to talk about the Broncos too much. I'm sure he's got some negativity to put out there. Although I still think I'm positive about the season as a whole. I've seen better football. I've seen way better coaching than what we've seen in the past. The defense has come together. But offensively, there's a lot of things that kind of worry me. And you can kind of see it. It's either Peyton is not calling plays to be aggressive enough because he doesn't want Russ to turn the football over, which also comes down to trust. If you don't trust your quarterback, what are we doing? Or Russ is just not throwing the ball because he doesn't want to turn the ball over, put the ball at risk, and then have Peyton yell at him. I don't know. That relationship does not seem conducive to long-term success. And I'm a Russ supporter. I like Russ as a person. I liked him as a player. But I just, first 3 quarters, Russ is pretty bad. And then fourth quarter, he's able to run around and do things. Again, that could be Peyton scheming. That could be all their game plan early on. I don't know. But it just looks bad. And I'm just ready to just draft Bo Nix, draft J.J. McCarthy, draft Jaden McDaniels, draft Michael Penix, whoever you can get at, 16, 17, wherever we're going to be, 15. I think we'll be somewhere between 14 and 18, somewhere in there. Grab a quarterback and let's just ride a rookie. Screw it. Don't know. That's an interesting decision for the Broncos to make. If they keep Russ, they'd have to keep him at least a year or two. He's got to be on the roster at least 2 years if they keep him after this season. So I don't know what to do. I'm okay ripping the Band-Aid off. You're going to eat that money regardless. Rip off the Band-Aid and let's move on. Have Peyton get his eye. Although Peyton was trusting of Taysom Hill as a quarterback, I don't want to see something like that either. So again, I'm nervous on who Peyton would have as his guy. But Peyton can win football games with different style of quarterbacks. So I do trust that we could win games with whoever we get. But I'd like to see a quarterback that I can trust that can run on offense, throw it around everywhere, make us look pretty good. For the Broncos to have everything lined up, Colts lost, Texans lost, Bengals lost. Everybody in front of them that they needed to lose lost. And they just looked bad. They looked bad. Except for the fourth quarter. They gave us hope in the fourth quarter. But they just looked disinterested, on offense most of the game. And then the defense couldn't get pressure on Bailey Zappi. They're just letting him kind of throw it wherever he wanted. They were missing their top guy, Hunter Henry. Somehow Devontae Parker was just punking Surtain all day. Surtain had coverage, but couldn't find the ball. Couldn't locate the ball. There's so many bad things about that game. Javonte, I think, he looked healthy midseason. Now he looks like he's running with concrete blocks on his feet, which you can see that the coach thinks that too because he's putting McLaughlin in a lot more than you would normally. I don't know why Samaje didn't get more run. Samaje looks great every time he comes in. He would have given us some hard yards. For the Broncos to play like that at home, primetime game, in front of the whole country, it was just bad. It was just bad. My blood pressure even got raised a little bit during that game. I've been pretty good most of the season. I've just kind of laid back, been cool. I know it's a process. I know it's going to take time for Sean Payton to build that winning culture and teach us how to win. But then when you play like that, then you give us hope by coming back. And then with 40 seconds left, and this is the funny part, because even my 18-year-old thought this was stupid. And he hasn't been watching football for 30 years like I have. Hasn't been analyzing it and doing all this. When my 18-year-old knows it's stupid, it's probably pretty bad. 40 seconds left. They're trying to run out the clock to go to overtime, and you're calling timeouts. Now, if your offense has been humming most of the game, moving down the field, no problems, I don't think I have a problem with it. I don't. But you haven't. And when you had 2 timeouts, you could have just kept, the game would have gone to overtime. Maybe we get the ball. Maybe we go down and score first. Possibly. Maybe they do. Who knows? But I think I go to overtime as bad as we played. We got back to even where we wanted to be. I would have taken it to overtime. I just don't know why we called those timeouts, thinking maybe we'll get the ball back with 30 seconds, no timeouts. Maybe, and again, Cortland Sutton's still playing. We throw a couple deep balls to him throughout the game. He's looking good. Maybe that's not a bad play. He wasn't out there. We didn't have that reliable guy that we could just throw the ball 30, 40 yards to get into field goal range. We didn't have it. So that play calling, just that decision just didn't make sense to me. So Broncos ended their season by playing shitty against the Patriots. Patriots did lose their draft positioning a little bit, made it a little bit worse by winning. Probably not the right thing to do for them since they were right there in that 1, 2, 3 range. I'll have to see where it's at now. But I think, they had done what you want to do. They played competitive. They probably should have let the Broncos win, as bad as that is. I know teams don't really do that. Teams can tank if they want to tank, but Washington or New England is now 4th. When if they had lost that game, they still would have been 3rd. So that's interesting. Let's see. Before we get to this week's games, we're doing good on time. We had thanks, Carolyn. Appreciate you. Everything's a little slow on mine. Let's see. Oh, Justin Fields. Justin Fields did an interview this weekend and made it sound like his days in Chicago are over. I've been there's Clayton. There's my man Clayton. What up, Clayton? Hopefully you had a great holidays, Clayton. I'm solo tonight. So if you got any crazy questions, throw them out, Clayton. I'm here for you. The Bears are in a tough position. I am not a Justin Fields guy. Anybody that's kind of watched this knows I am not a Justin Fields guy. But I do feel like he's played well enough to keep going. But because you got to pay them soon, where they're at as a team, they're still losing. They probably got to move on. But I don't think it's as easy as a decision as it was previously. He's played pretty good this year, better than I thought. There's still some moments, but I think he's actually done well enough that if they made the decision to trade out of one, pick up more picks and build around him, I could see it. I just think they got to reset that money. They're still losing. Carolyn, the Broncos don't have a chance. They had their chance. It was Saturday night. They needed to win. They would have been right in the thick of things had they won. And they need a miracle. They've got like 5%. They've got to count on like the 4 teams above them have to lose both their games, and the Broncos have to win both their games to get in. Like that's just bad math. Like you don't want to have to rely on that. If the Broncos won out, they'd be in. I fully believe that the teams ahead of them right now are going to lose a game here and there. That if they had won Saturday and they won against the Chargers and against the Raiders, they would be in. And they laid that stinker on us. So, and as bad as they've played against New England, do we really want to see them in the playoffs against a really good team? Do we want to see them go play a Joe Flacco Browns right now? I don't. I think Joe Flacco would tear us up. We won because we played Dorian Thompson-Robinson and the other guy. PJ Walker. That's why we won. We didn't play Joe Flacco against when the Browns came to town. So, yeah, the Broncos would get smashed right now by any of those teams. The only team right now that I think actually they'd have a chance would be the Chiefs. But in Arrowhead playoffs, Chiefs probably beat us. But that's like a team like we maybe. But I wouldn't feel good about the Broncos playing anybody in the playoffs right now. So I'd rather not see them get in the playoffs at this point, which hurts. I love my Broncos. I love them. And their mediocrity, their ways they have found to lose games over the last 7 years is painful. It's painful. But you can't be good all the time. Occasionally, you got to have your time where you suck. We're in that time. Hopefully, when these last 2 games, we have it a winning 9-8. That's a winning season. Take it. I take it. But I don't know. I don't know if we can beat the Raiders. I think we can beat the Chargers still with Easton Stick, but I don't know if we can beat the Raiders. Carolyn, I'm a Russ guy. There's moments in a lot of the games he has a clean pocket and doesn't do anything with it. And he doesn't see the middle of the field, which is why Jerry Jeudy is non-existent. That's where Jerry Jeudy lives, is over the middle of the field. Crossing routes, dig routes. Russ can't hit him. That's why Jerry Jeudy's got like 400 yards. It's stupid. Maybe 5 now. It's ridiculous. Jerry Jeudy is no CeeDee Lamb. He's no Justin Jefferson. He's not anywhere close. But the kid's got some talent. The kid can play. Russ can't hit him. That's just not what he does. So I don't think we have the speed, the play calling. We don't run the football effectively enough to make Russ really good. Russ has had a fine season. I think he's at, 26 touchdowns. He's got 2 or 3 rushing. The numbers are okay. But game in and game out, you just see moments that we're not able to throw the ball all over the field. We need a quarterback that can do that, unfortunately. In today's game, when you play with a limited quarterback, everything else has to be perfect. You got to have the best O-line, best defense, best running game, superstar running back, good wide receivers. You got to have everything around him to really be good. Russ doesn't have it. He doesn't have that around him right now. And he's not going to look as good because of it. And falls on him. And some things, his height, he can't do anything about that. But he doesn't have the accuracy that Drew Brees has. Wilson plays a big part, though. He's the trigger man. If Russ could hit the middle of the field, I think we'd be awesome. But he can't. So if they ride with Russ another year, I'm okay with it. But I'm still looking for that quarterback that can actually make you defend every blade of grass. Wilson's never done that. And that's just not his game. In today's NFL, with the fact that defenses can't hit you and you've got guys running free, to not have plays over the middle is killer. We should be crushing that right now. Jerry Jeudy's open in the middle all the time. Doesn't get the ball. So it is what it is. Yeah. It's sad. I like Russ, but I've seen enough of it. He's okay. But everything else has got to be great around him. And when you're paying a guy that much money, and you've given up so many draft picks, it's hard for the rest of your roster to be that really that good to compete. So I think they're going to move on. All right, that's depressing. That's depressing. What do we got this week? Well, the Broncos are going to play the Chargers at home on New Year's Eve. Broncos are favored by 5. I might take the points on that one. I'll take the Chargers in 5 points. They played Buffalo pretty tough. There is always next year, Carolyn, and this year was better than last, so maybe we just keep getting better. We're just not there yet. Let's see. We got the Brownies playing the Jets. Brownies are going to crush. Bengals and the Chiefs. Oh, I'd love to see the Bengals win this game. Bengals are 7-point dogs. Kind of like that. I think I'll take Bengals in 7 against this Chiefs offense. I think I would take Bengals in 7. Let's see. 49ers are going to crush the Commanders. That one's going to be pretty easy. Eagles are going to crush the Cardinals. Falcons, Bears. This is kind of a tricky one. Falcons, Bears. Bears are at home. Bears are favored. Yeah, go Bears. Go Bears. Panthers and Jaguars. That's gross. That's an awful game. Oh my God. The Jaguars are so bad. They're so bad. They're going to win that game, though. They'll beat the Panthers. They'll win that game. Bills and Patriots. Bills will win that game. Bills have to win that game to get that playoff spot secured. Raiders and Colts. Now, this is interesting. Raiders are still technically not out of it. They're like the Broncos. Broncos aren't mathematically out of it yet. Raiders need this game. Colts have been playing up and down. Colts are going to get this game, though. Colts are going to get this game. Rams and Giants. Rams. Moving on. Saints and Bucks. Bucks are playing good football right now. They're sneaky. Not a lot of people are talking about them right now. They're only 8-7. Bucks are playing good football right now. Baker is balling. I know our boy John Big E, I think he is, was going back and forth with Caleb about Kenny Pickett and Baker. Baker's way better than Kenny Pickett. I don't even know why that's a conversation. I don't know why Caleb keeps going on with that. And yeah, it's crazy. I've got some more. Alex Smith. Runs can cut wrestling. If we don't make the playoffs. I saw something like that said that was also a fake post. So I don't know if Sean Payton would say that publicly privately to Russ. I think Sean Payton would just keep it in the back and just say, hey, if we don't get great football of this guy, we got to move on. Sean Payton's not going to tell him to his face. That's not Sean Payton. It's a tough decision. There's no good answer. I just want to rip off the Band-Aid. Titans and Texans. Texans are favored right now. I think this really determines if CJ Stroud plays, Texans win. CJ Stroud is still out from his concussion, Titans win. It's all about CJ Stroud. Texans. Get CJ Stroud healthy. He's awesome. That guy's great. He is great. I really like watching him play. He is fearless throwing that ball down the field. Steelers and Seahawks. It was kind of funny. Watching that, I guess Seahawks could have been on my naughty list last week. I almost feel like if Drew Lock played, they win that game. I hate saying that. But Geno does not. Geno's not good. Geno turned back into a pumpkin like I said he would. Seahawks are going to win that game. It's in Seattle. Mason Rudolph is starting again for the Steelers. I don't see. I know the Bengals turned the ball over a lot against the Steelers, and the Steelers had those huge plays from George Pickens. I don't think that's going to happen 2 weeks in a row. Packers Vikings 7-8, 7-8. That might be the tough one of the weekend, really. Packers defense can't really hold anybody. Oh man. Packers. I'm going to go Jordan Love and the Packers. They're going to find a way to win that game because they have to. All right, going back to the big two this weekend. There's only really 2 games that are going to be fun, interesting games. Dolphins going to Baltimore. After what Baltimore just did to the 49ers, man, oh man. And they're at home. And Baltimore this year has played really good at home. They have smacked some good teams at home. I think the Ravens are going to win this game, and they're going to lock up. I think they're going to lock up that number 1 seed because they'll be 12 and they'd be 13-4 if they lose their last game. Dolphins would have to win out, and the Ravens would have the tiebreaker. So Ravens are going to get that number 1 seed. Lock it up. Although I do think the Dolphins can play with the Ravens, but I think the Ravens right now, Lamar's balling. He's balling. Lions and Cowboys. This is a game I'm really excited to watch. This is Saturday night. Christmas or not New Year's Eve because it's Saturday night. That one I'm looking at who's the Packers Vikings is the Sunday night game. Okay. Lions and Cowboys. It's in Dallas. Lions defense really is not great. Yeah, Dallas is going to win this game. Dallas is going to win. I like the Lions a lot. But, yeah, I don't think their defense is good enough to hang with the Cowboys in Dallas. I think Dallas will come out and win this game. And, I didn't pick the Chargers Broncos game. I don't like it. That Broncos will win. Broncos will beat the Chargers because we hate the Chargers. And the Chargers will Charger. Let's see. All right. That's the week of the NFL. We talked about MVP a little bit. Coach of the year. That's going to be tough. Dan Campbell, Kevin Stefanski. I feel like one of those 2 guys is going to get it. I think those guys have been pretty damn good. They've both had some things to overcome. They're playing good football. Pretty awesome. Oh man, what else? Is there anything else? I don't think there's anything else. If anybody's got a question out there, I'm opening it up. Throw a question out real quick. Otherwise, we'll shut it down. Win an hour. It's pretty good. When my co-host is here, we go 2. Probably saved me from drinking too much. You know, Alex, that is a very, very good point. That would be the telling sign. If the Broncos sit Russ, that would spell that they're going to cut him, right? And if they benched him for Stidham, because we don't want him to get injured and lock in those injury guarantees, that would tell us that we're going to cut him. That's a good one, Alex. That's a good one. If you're going to stick with Russ, you keep playing Russ. If you're going to move on, it'd make good sense to place them. Clayton, Judy's not back next year. Judy's not back. As I mentioned, he's in the middle again. you got to pay him soon. He hasn't really been worth it. He's got talent. I think there's talent there. But as we are currently constructed, we don't throw over the middle enough. So his game is useless. What he does well is useless to us at the moment. So I don't see Judy back. Tim Patrick's money is probably getting cut to save money as well. So you got Cortland and Marvin Mims. And I bet they still draft another guy in the draft. I wouldn't be shocked if we keep Russ. We're going to use that, pick on a wide receiver. I could see that happen. O-lineman, defensive lineman. If we get a quarterback there, I'd be okay for that, and then drafting another wide receiver later. But a lot of big questions. I don't know all the answers. I feel like I think they're gonna cut Russ, take off the Band-Aid. That is my thinking. I just don't think they want to lock in. They're going to pay him $80 million regardless. I just don't think they want to lock in $80 million to him and have him keep playing. I think they'd rather just pay him and get it over with. Now, there's also the word that he could possibly restructure, give us some of that money back, which would allow us to put that money into buying more players, making the team better around him. Could see him doing that too. That could be a win-win. I could see him doing that and us still drafting a quarterback to sit behind him for a year or two. Some of these guys, I think Michael Penix or Daniels would need a little bit of NFL seasoning before they're ready. Not a lot, but a half a year to a year would be good. Kind of feel like Bo Nix could come in and play, just because he played in college for so long. Played multiple years at Auburn, then transferred, got that COVID year, transferred up to Oregon. He's played 2 years up there. So I think Bo Nix could come in and play right away. JJ McCarthy, not quite sure about him, but we did pick up Jerry Jeudy's 5th-year option. So next year is his 4th year, I believe. Yeah, next year is his 4th year, I believe. But why keep paying him if you're cutting Russ, keep Jeudy. Sure. No reason to get rid of Jeudy if you can find a quarterback that can actually throw over the middle of the field. If you're keeping Russ, you got to get rid of Jeudy. He just doesn't make any sense because we can't get the ball to him anyways. So, which is crazy because I thought after him and Russ, the last part of the last season, they did have a connection. He was getting the ball to him on a regular basis. Somehow that flipped to Cortland Sutton, and he's only throwing the ball to Cortland Sutton now. And Jerry Jeudy's like a complete afterthought. And I don't get it. I don't know. It's depressing, guys. It's depressing. It's going to make me keep drinking. Right now, Super Bowl. I do think we are going to see the way things are looking right now. Baltimore and San Francisco, I think, are going to be in the Super Bowl. In that scenario, I will be there rooting for the 49ers if Baltimore were to make it. I'll root for the 49ers or the Eagles if either of those teams made it. The only AFC team I think I would root for would be the Browns. If the Browns found a way to make it, or the Bills, I'd root for the Bills too. I like Josh Allen, and I just like the way when they're playing and playing good football, they're a fun team to watch. So I could root for Buffalo as well. But I enjoy watching the Eagles play. I enjoy watching the Niners play. Lions. Cowboys have actually been a fun team to watch this year. If you watch them when they're playing at home or playing one of their division opponents, and they just lay that whooping on them, they're a fun team to watch too. So really interesting coming down the stretch. Got 2 weeks left. I believe the number one seed should be finalized this week. Baltimore should get it, and I believe Niners and Eagles are both going to win this weekend, so I think they're going to go another week. They're going to go to the last week on that one. But I do think the Niners need that home field advantage. Baltimore at home is really rough this season. Really rough. So I don't know if any team can go in there right now and beat them in Baltimore. That'd be a really tough game. All right, guys. I'm going to sign off. A little early for us, but without having somebody else talking crap to me, it's a little bit easier to sign off early. Thank you all, Alex, Carolyn, Clayton. Thanks for joining in, talking with me, having a good time. Hopefully you guys have some whiskey to drink. I've been drinking on some Woodford Reserve. This is actually, I find it to be pretty good for old fashions. So I'll use it for old fashions. $30 a bottle. Pretty easy. If you are in Colorado, though, and you get a bottle of $2.91, this is Pinky approved. Highly recommend it. It is a great Colorado whiskey. All right, everybody, have a great night. As we always say, show love to your friends, your family, cherish your moments. You never know how long you'll have them. And hopefully we'll have Caleb back next week. I'm out.
Fast lane when I pass in the street, bag of money in the passenger seat. Simcoe's been asking for me on the road from the west to the east. Way up, I might never come down, cause the coast's racking up the flight miles. So high, I might never come down, so what, this is my lifestyle. Wait a minute. Work hard for the car, so that's why it's all tinted. Wait a minute. Had a real late night, woke up with my